Most businesses operate in a constant state of survival, navigating daily compliance and immediate fires, leaving them with a brittle foundation and no long-term strategy. When the pressure mounts and these companies attempt to improve, they usually jump straight into random, disconnected tactical fixes. They plug holes without looking at the underlying structure, which inevitably leads to a series of exhausted false starts. The actual antidote to this survival mode trap is a concept known as organizational sustainability. This diagram shows what sustainability looks like in practice. It requires a dual mandate. You have to address current operational needs while simultaneously building an agile network capable of absorbing future challenges. Achieving this level of performance excellence is not a quick-fix project. It is a deliberate, years-long architectural transformation built from the ground up. The absolute bedrock of this transformation relies on an invisible force. Before implementing new management software or strategic goals, you must establish an organizational culture. In a culture of quality, excellence operates as an embedded way of life, guiding every decision and action without needing to be talked about. This diorama illustrates the anatomy of a quality culture, mapping 4 essential pillars. Employees must intimately know their product deliverable and exactly who their customer is. They must also understand the customer's exact expectations and possess a concrete metric to measure success. These 4 pillars act as the load-bearing walls for the organization. Without them, executive strategies struggle to gain any structural support on the front lines. To drive cultural change, organizations require a specific hierarchy. As shown in this anatomy of a performance team, senior leadership acts as visionaries, defining the destination. Middle managers translate that vision into operational reality. Finally, the workforce actually delivers quality, requiring empowerment and ownership. This team must navigate 2 types of change. On the left, strategic change acts like a telescope, broad in scope, driven by external forces like market trends. On the right, process change acts like a magnifying glass, focusing on narrow, internal operational adjustments. To successfully execute either type of change, leaders must answer the tough questions causing friction, addressing the core employee concern: what's in it for me? A strategy succeeds or fails based on how clearly the workforce understands the transition's daily mechanics and sees their personal role in the new vision. Once the culture is primed, an organization has to operationalize its excellence by intentionally choosing a management engine that fits its existing capabilities. This illustration compares 2 operational paths. On the left is the process train, representing regimented systems like ISO 9000 or Six Sigma. On the right is the customer care carriage, representing a purely customer-centric engine like the Baldrige framework. Regardless of the engine choice, specific mechanics drive world-class organizations. This toolkit displays the 5 universal best practices: cycle time analysis, process value analysis, process simplification, strategic planning, and formal supplier certification. Attempting to implement all of these best practices simultaneously will overwhelm the system. They must be built slowly and methodically to avoid organizational burnout. As quality initiatives mature, organizations often find that local improvements in one department don't translate to broader success, exposing a missing link between separate teams. Look at the top panel demonstrating alignment. Everyone moves toward the same goal, but rows out of sync, fighting their own momentum. The bottom panel demonstrates integration. Here, actions are harmonized to operate in rhythm. This integrated perspective separates success from failure. Reaching that integrated state is not a permanent victory. As this roller coaster chart reveals, organizations travel through a quality life cycle that typically spans 3 to 8 years. Because organizational momentum can stall, leaders must actively anticipate the stagnation phase. If they don't intervene, the entire interconnected system begins to decline. The only sustainable defense against that life cycle decline is transforming the company into a continuously learning organization. This training diagram lays out the habits of highly evolving teams. They solve problems systematically, run constant experiments, and ensure rapid transfer of knowledge across the enterprise. Maintaining this elevated learning state requires a rigorous, ongoing process of executive self-assessment, which must be based entirely on unfiltered employee data. This checklist outlines the 3 phases of that reality check. Leaders must be humbled by the findings, openly discuss the painful truths with their teams, and grind out the follow-up instead of reacting with denial. Achieving performance excellence doesn't require a global enterprise budget. By mastering universal practices, listening closely to the workforce, and committing to honest self-assessment, any team can build an enduring culture of quality.